You're watching Rurouni K95's anime review on Devadasy. Hi Ruronis, this is your pal Rurouni K95 here. Today's anime review, we get to cover a brand new anime, the one that you've been waiting for, which is probably the forgotten anime OVA that only has 3 episodes in the early 2000s. For today's anime review is Devadasy. Devadasy is a 3 episode anime OVA, particularly, which is others basically call it like a ripoff of Neon Genesis Evangelion, but technically because it's a lot more different from each other, particularly. I don't think it looked like a ripoff at all, but I'm not sure, particularly. So let's tell us the story about the anime Devadasy. So the plot for Devadasy is how superior technology may have bloomed by the year 2012, but it has not changed the fate of humanity. For young men like Kay, life is still plagued by nothing but homework and girl trouble. When an unknown force ages Earth with a robotic war machines, it is up to Kay, who is chosen to defend the human race. In order to activate the sugar weapon Devadasy, Kay must find his protect match. Only one man and one woman together can use the Devadasy and protect the peace of mankind. Yes, this particular anime OVA is particularly only has 3 episodes. I mean, think about it. I mean, this I'll to discuss about this anime. So the plot particularly is the world has been under the siege for over a year, and the mysterious nanomachines that turn people into goo. The instant contact is made, something weird, something going on. If you expect to see what is going on in Devadasy. A mech called Devadasy is the only thing that can be used to combat those nano machines, and the organization called Spirits recruits teenagers to help pilot it. A boy named Kay has signed up for the Spirits in order to avoid schoolwork, and he soon finds himself in the midst of battle. And for those who have seen this show, I know I'm omitting a very important aspect for the plot. I will get it to it, my friends. Trust me. Yes, particularly about this anime, however, I mean, this others basically call it like a ripoff of Neon Genesis Evangelion, particularly. Well, technically, Devadasy only came out in the 2000s, but for Neon Genesis Evangelion, however, is basically in the 90s, particularly. I mean, what difference is that, particularly? I mean, I have to address something for Devadasy, however. I mean, the character K, particularly, he's basically not Shinji in this from the Evangelion in this particular ripoff of the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion, but I admit for I would call appreciation I have. I mean, I may watch both Evangelion and Devadasy in its own way. Particularly, this is particularly the most of all Evangelion ripoffs, particularly for to explain what it is about Devadasy as well. So there's only the criteria of post-apocalyptic, mecha piloted only by teens, and mind-blowery as to expect of what is going on in Devadasy as well. I mean, even the art style and animation and backgrounds are like reminiscent to Neon Genesis Evangelion. I mean, Kei also seems to wear the same school uniform as Shinji Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I mean, how it is a ripoff? Well, most certainly it's not like a cut and paste job like Space Thunder Kids. Clearly, it's basically like a ripoff of Neon Genesis Evangelion, particularly. And I admit that, particularly. Well, I understand, but you get the picture, though. Come to think of it, I mean, the main character is Kei Anno, which could be ignored. The fact for that Neon Genesis Evangelion was created by a man named Hideaki Anno. Kei sounds insanely similar to Rei. Huh. Because he's basically, well, there's a girl with blue hair and red eyes that ends up being Kay's mom, despite the fact that she seems like she's like a teenager in Devadasy. I mean, they seem to preface the title of the show as "The Tale of Genesis Devadasy," and it has the next episode previews. Had enough yet? Well, that is the question, particularly. I mean, the real question is that how did Devadasy became a ripoff of Neon Genesis Evangelion? And it's because the character designs and background animations and some animation style look very reminiscent to Neon Genesis Evangelion. But that's basically sounded very familiar, I hope, because this brought to the credibility for the satisfactory results. I mean, think about it. I mean, as was to many other animes, to expect what is going on, to explain what it is about Devadasy. As the pilot controls Devadasy, more energy is pulled from the female, and nanomachines taking the form of green scales slowly cover the female, and she feels increasingly turned on, as does the pilot. In fact, in a weird way, it's heavily implied that the mere piloting Devadasy is like having proxy sex with a battery. Weird, huh? Because, I mean, anyways, I mean, that's how do you expect to see what is going on in Devadasy, particularly? So, yeah, if it's not enough, it's an uncomplicated that the Spirits organization is proposingly making K and all the girls going crazy over some person somehow. And when Kei gets too sexually aggressive, or Masato stands to him, who his name is of all things like Masako, who is not Masato Katsuragi, particularly in this particular anime like Devadasy, made love with him. If you're thinking, no, that is not a hentai, and yes, it's particularly one of those anime titles that you should have just given in the title, particularly to expect what is going on. What do you see by this anime like Devadasy, which is particularly. The show is produced by Green Bunny and Media Blasters, who did stuff like the anime movie or Kite, particularly. Two of the biggest producers and distributors of hentai and hard ecchi in existence. But clearly, Devadasy, however, is basically like an anime title, particularly. I mean, it's probably one of the forgotten from what Media Blasters had a lot to do with. I mean, how is it a ripoff of Neon Genesis Evangelion? Well, that is the question. I mean, the real question is particularly how do the characters have, like, the character K is wearing the same school uniform which Shinji Ikari wear in the Neon Genesis Evangelion series? I mean, think about it. I mean, the animation and the backgrounds and those are like reminiscent, and the character designs is like reminiscent to Neon Genesis Evangelion. And yes, it's not made by Gainax because it's made by Green Bunny, which is known for Kite anime as well. Think about it. And yes, this was released on DVD by Media Blasters, but it's basically under the label Anime Works, which is Media Blasters' sub label for anime. And yes, because I have if you have the DVD, it's 16 up on here because it's basically released by Anime Works, Media Blaster sub label for anime. Now they're saying none of the less, particularly to expect to see what is going on in this anime like Devadasy on here, because that's the real question. Particularly, did the only thing is that can beat them is a mech called Devadasy, which Kay's grandfather found 20 years ago. Why is Devadasy not affected by the nanomachines? Well, that is the real question, is that it has nanomachines of its own. So, like, the Eva mechas, robot ones that from the Neon Genesis Evangelion series are technically like angels. Well, it's possible that Vadasy was made from the same kind of materials as the enemy nanomachines, and why those don't melt the pilots, I don't know after. Well, that is the real question. If you are watching both Devadasy or Neon Genesis Evangelion at the same time as well, for the fact why are there teenagers are able to pilot the Devadasy but in Neon Genesis Evangelion, however, They are chosen for how well their body signatures correspond to the Evas, right? And because they were born on this around the second impact, particularly for as what you expect to see what is going on as well, because no explanation is given to why the teens are chosen here. Here, it might be because the healthy sex drives, but pseudo adults particularly to expect what is going on in devadasy. Also, there's only one devadasy, and K is our sole male teen in the group. Yes, the offer of legally skipping school means they're basically cutting class, means they're refusing to go to school, and getting to fight battles was mostly taken up by the teenage girls, with only one guy, the entire region, interested in taking in the part. Nothing much of the note happens for a good long while, and they jump all over from the place, different points in time. At least in one episode, they try to explain these jumps by pointing out what's taking one place and to what time in subsequent episodes. There, though there are no cards or text to explain it, we just hop, 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 and hope we keep up, which I couldn't expect how from time to time particularly as well. I mean, particularly the character Naoki, however, the character K, he treats his best childhood friend Naoki like crap and becomes psychopathic while piloting devadasy. If he's likable, if it's never shown, he spends so much of his screen time at spirits, which he allows is always influenced by the drugs, making him crazy and sex starved. The few scenes before the spirits have him slacking off and perving on a group of girls as well as perving on Naoki, and that's it. But that's how the real question, particularly about the characters, to explain what is going on in devadasy as well. I mean, come to think of it, because how this anime was particularly like a rip-off Neon Genesis Evangelion, well, particularly it's basically it sounded familiar. I wouldn't call it a rip-off and all, but it basically looks very similar. It's just basically trying to be another Neon Genesis Evangelion, I would say. I mean, the art and animation, however, is fairly decent. The character art is a bit lacking, and there's nothing really special about it. Plus, the art and color are reminiscent of Neon Genesis Evangelion that I actually feel trying to see what's going on, particularly as an anime reviewer who has seen the anime OVA Devadasy. I expect to see what is going on, particularly as well, because I'm just going to be like the one who just goes, "What is going on?" I mean, the voice acting in the Japanese dub is all right. I mean, the English dubs can be terrible for an anime like Devadasy as well, but that is the question as well. For the designs of Devadasy, however, the highlight are here. While I can't imagine imaging out of my mind, it's like a mech version of Palkia. It's pretty original design given on most mecha designs, which are either Gundam or Evangelion clones. It turns out into a jet, which has almost been like Macross or Robotech, particularly. Because to explain what it is given in the title, to explain what it is about Devadasy, because this anime capsulated only 3 episodes from November 25th, 2000 until January 25th, 2001. And yes, this anime was directed by Nobuhiro Kondo as well. And yes, this is your typical anime, which Bennett the Sage reviewed it on Anime Abandon as well. So that's going to be it for my anime review on Devadasy for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's my thoughts. When I first watched Devadasy on New Year's Eve back in 2018, I didn't realize that this anime was basically like the animation and the character designs and backgrounds, they're basically like a reminiscent to Neon Genesis Evangelion. I mean, if you watched Blue Gender or Neon Genesis Evangelion, give Devadasy a watch and comment below if you think Neon Genesis Evangelion or Devadasy is better. Hope subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description below. You can share this video on your Twitter, Facebook. If you have Twitter, Facebook account, all social media, be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking on the like button on this video. Feel free to leave the comments in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to join. Hit the notifications bell button. Keep it otaku for this anime review. Another anime review next. Stay tuned for my next anime review. I got another anime movie that I haven't reviewed for tomorrow's anime review on Eureka 7 Good Night Sleep Tight Young Lovers. Stay tuned for my next anime review on Eureka 7 Good Night Sleep Tight Young Lovers, because you won't want to miss another anime review.